Barry, and we come across this beautiful pink lake at Port Gregory. Lovely vegetation here, which is pink, and then if you look on my left, we've got a pink lake. Isn't that absolutely sterling and amazing? And it's pink because of the algae in the water, and it has all different hues from purple to bubblegum pink. At the moment it's bubblegum pink. Apparently something about vitamin A. I don't really care. It doesn't worry me. It's bacteria.
Algae. You never got a microbiology degree, did you, Dad?
No, Dad. I didn't get
I only got a chemistry degree.
I only got a chemistry.
But I also got a master's in Christian leadership.
Yeah, well, you didn't much either. Anyway, there we go. Hey?
200 k's away from the major city in all of Western Australia, and there is so much land here. We're only 200 k's away from the major city in Western Australia. Betty gets a bit distracted. And there's just nothing out here, just gorgeous coastline. You could populate this entire coastline so easily. You know, I mean, it'd probably take 50 years to get all the necessary infrastructure running up. But yeah, it's kind of a bit of a waste, really. Well, I understand why we're not there now, because we don't have the population need for it, but it just seems ridiculous that we're crowding in on each other in Melbourne and crowding in on each other in Sydney. And like out here, there's like buckets of space, and you could just live a lot easier and a lot freer and a lot less stress. But again, I guess economy of scale, you need a lot of people to make it all happen.
So we're sitting in Jurien Bay, and I met this lovely lady, Trish, and she had a little story to tell that I thought would be so encouraging for a lot of people who've gone through suffering. Trish, tell us about what happened with your daughter.
In '95 we just come to Perth, and it was really hard. We were struggling to settle in. We've been here 6 months, and then my daughter was diagnosed with leukemia, AML, acute myeloid leukemia, and for the next 4 months she had massive chemo. She was only 15 years old. By this time my daughter was about as red as this cup here, was talking gibberish and was a bit glassy-eyed anyway, so they gave her whatever it was to have her calm while they tried to get this tube out that wasn't coming out easy, to try and stop the infection. Nothing seemed to be working. She was being put on antibiotics. She didn't seem to respond, and I was really, really afraid, because I'd seen just the week beforehand another boy that was 2 years older than her that had relapsed with the leukemia, and he died with infection. And I thought, my gosh, this is going to happen to me. This is going to happen to my daughter. While I'm standing at the end of the bed, I remember I was getting really panicky. I was sort of restless. This friend was sitting beside her. Her name's Beth. And while I'm standing there, I can't quite explain how this happened, but I just heard the Lord say to me, "Will you trust me even if I take her?" It wasn't loud. It wasn't audible, but I heard it, and it was very clear. I just remember When I heard this, I really freaked. All I can remember thinking was, no, 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 don't do this. Please don't do this. And I took off out of the room into the main passage of where the pathology unit is. And I remember I was leaning against the wall, I was having palpitations, I was absolutely freaked because I thought, my goodness, she's going to die. Anyway, while I just remember I seen this painting that was opposite me. It reminds me of a Picasso with things sticking out of its head and all sort of weird. And I remember I wanted to scream. I wanted to grab that painting and throw it and rip it down. I just wanted to throw a full-on fit. But then all of a sudden, I remember as I was standing there, I was thinking, there's no one else I can turn to. No one is greater than the Almighty God of this universe. And I just remember, then I don't know, it was so strange. I just remember saying, yes, I will trust you. I didn't know if she was going to live or die. I just knew it was in his hands. And within a couple of days, they got the tube out, the antibiotics worked, and she was out of hospital and she was well again. About 12 months later, and was sort of, the roller coaster ride had come to an end, and it was strange because I just remember I went into the worst depression I've ever been in my life. It sort of fell into a hole. I was no longer busy with everything with her, and then all of a sudden I just remember feeling so terribly depressed. I couldn't understand why God would allow this to happen. I was a believer, and we prayed, and there had been other terrible things in my life that had happened, and I thought for some reason we were immune. But over that, probably the next 5 years, maybe longer, I don't know. I just remember it's finally through things I'd heard, I guess, and teaching and the Word of God, I suddenly realised we're not immune, but God is with us every inch of the way. And the thing is, and the depression lifted when I realised He wasn't punishing me, He didn't hate me, He did love me. But for some reason I had to walk this journey.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I can't understand it.
And you said you became a Christian at 31, so you weren't always a Christian.
No, I don't come from a Christian background, and when that happened, I was 39, 40.
Okay.
So at only 9 years, I was in a lot of ways still a baby Christian.
Yeah.
And that, so yeah, it took a lot of, I think, our background, our past, we tend to feel that we're unworthy. But God is not like that. But I remember one of the things He told me as a baby Christian when I was probably 30, maybe 33. I've been a Christian a couple of years struggling, and the one thing He told me, I remember in a dream saying, I will never leave nor forsake you. And I remembered that, and that kept me.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And you're still going now?
Oh yeah.
Going strong?
Oh, more so.
Yeah.
More so.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you. So there we go. That's afternoon chat at Jurien Bay.
Oh,
Thanks,
it's funny.
Trish.
It's nice to see another believer.
God bless you for encouraging us. Just outside of Cervantes is a place called the Pinnacles, which are these rocks poking out of the sand. Getting our bikes fixed, so we just borrowed one bike. That's a staircase leading to heaven, or not. Oh, DNA. In between those trees you can see the Rio Tinto and the BHP mining giants. They got the tallest building here in Perth. Surprise, surprise. Wow, it's probably 20 k's an hour wind here. Hope it doesn't fall down or we're stuffed. Here we are at Lakeside Recreation Centre, which is owned by the Baptist Church here, and it's also a Baptist church, which is absolutely amazing amount of land. Only about 20 k's from the centre of Perth. Just before the Sunday service, here we are. This is what a basketball stadium transformed looks like. From a sports centre to a worship centre. Awesome. Really cool.
Good afternoon, Shane Cushell.
How are you, Nick?
I'm very well, mate.
Good.
And how are you?
I'm very well.
Fantastic. And who is Shane Cushell and where are we?
Who I am is actually a really deep question.
Okay, sorry.
But we'll just go with I work at Lakeside Baptist Church and I'm one of the pastoral staff here.
And has it got a particular flavour, this church?
Yeah, so we actually own and run Lakeside Recreation Centre. And so the Lakeside Recreation Centre, we have 4 basketball courts, a full gym, and we'd have 8,000 people come through here every week to use our facilities. Just about, you name it, to do with fitness, and they come through here. It's pretty incredible. Okay,
so it's the attractional model?
Yeah.
Of ministry where everyone comes in.
Yep.
Only right. In this case, it's working. So there's all those people coming into the centre for purposes of their body.
Yep.
And you guys are very interested in their souls and their spirits.
Yes.
How does that work? How do you make that connection?
We have a gentleman here named Roy, and Roy is actually full-time staff, and his main purpose here is actually to spend time in the foyer hanging out with people. So he regularly has coffee with people, asks people how they're doing, finds out what he can be praying for them, and does, like, he's praying with people all the time out in the foyer with people bustling about and doing their thing. It's amazing.
Okay, so people have an opportunity to have a spiritual experience when they're coming for a workout.
Absolutely.
Well, Shane, it's absolutely awesome seeing you again. You don't seem to have aged at all. I don't know, 10 or so years since I've seen you.
Thank you.
You look great. I'm looking forward to spending a couple of nights in your backyard.
We're looking forward to having you in our backyard for a couple of nights.
Thank you, Shane.
Fantastic.
So we've just ridden from Perth to Margaret River, 300 k's in this rain. It's been 8 degrees Celsius. Our bikes are getting some sort of love there with covers over them. Thankfully we found a motel room at short notice.
Well, it's nice.
Caribbean Park at short notice, and it's got a heater.
And a widescreen telly.
We love.
It's all on how close you get. You're wide from here.
Anyway, I don't know that. Can you see how wet we are?
I don't know if you can see that bag, but that is completely wet. It's been out in the rain for 3 or 4 hours. And I'm going to open that up in a little while and see how much of our stuff got wet. This is our test number 1 for the rain. But that is one totally saturated piece of gear.
Well, hoping it's going to be dry in the morning.
Yeah, it's I think 3 or 4 days of rain ahead of us, apparently, according to the weather. But it wasn't your usual sort of Perth sprinkle. It was constant deluge for 3 hours straight.
Actually, it was quite dangerous on the road because we were there. There was just a blanket of water on the road, so you had to be really careful. But thankfully, praise the Lord, he looked after us. We saw no other motorcycles on the road. A testimony to how stupid we really are. So we're just trying to dry out all our gear, so it's strewn all across the floor. Now we're in a little cabin in a caravan park, which is cool. And this is all our gear. Anyway, I don't know if you can see it yet, but there's cows all over the place. It's so cool. Oh, look, there's a golden cow there. That's really cute. There's all these cows everywhere in the main street. Cow, cow, cow. About to go on the tree top walk, and Nick had something to say about it. What did you have to say, Doc?
Big trees.
Tall trees.
This one's a pup, 400.
Anyway, here we go. We were wondering whether we needed a guide, but we decided we were experts.
We're at a dizzy 40 metres above sea level. Sorry, ground level. 40 metres above ground level. It's pretty impressive. Well, unless you're a red tingle tree, which gets to 70 metres, and this is about halfway. Wow. Trees. Who knew?
100 k's from Albany on the right at the bottom end of Australia in a place called Peaceful Bay. And would you believe it, there's a rainbow, which is God's symbol of peace to the world, his temporary peace, where he made a covenant with us that he wouldn't destroy the world by flood again. But he is coming back. That's exciting. We long for the day. Maranatha, Lord.
Okay, Betty. We spent a massive, beautiful experience on the coast. Gorgeous turquoise Indian Ocean, beautiful sharkies, manta rays, just piece upon piece. Now you're back on your bike.
Yes.
You did.
Yeah.
And do you remember, actually, we should have mentioned this in the last episode, but do you remember when you turned into Shark Bay at the caravan park there, ready after a long trip?
Yeah.
What happened?
Well, it was 3 in the afternoon and we were desperate because we knew that the caravan parks had started to fill up because it was getting popular down the south there, and we just needed a space, so we were keen to get a site, and that's all I was fixed on. And so I pulled up. You had told me that don't pull up there in the headset.
Sort of angled parking.
Yeah, husband was saying, don't pull up there, it's not stable. No, she'll be right. I said, she'll be right.
I'd like to say it was only once I said it.
Anyway, so I get off the bike, and I'd forgotten that I'd had the big load on the back, and all of a sudden it just started to go. And I was like, oh, and I tried to pull it up. I reckon I had it there for a second, but no.
No.
Because of the sand, I didn't have any footing.
And so the owner comes running out, crash, boom. He comes to you, what does he say?
Are you okay?
What do you say?
I said, have you got any vacancies?
You're stuck there with the bike, roll around you in the dirt. Got any vacancies?
Yeah, because I'm like a dog on a bone. That was in my mind. I was like, I just want a site, and a bike falling on top of me was not going to stop me from my mission.
Well, the crash had happened.
Yeah.
You'd moved on.
I hadn't processed that.
You processed, moved on.
As I do. I've done it a few times and I was over it.
Okay. So, yeah, he was incredulous. He just couldn't believe what you said. Look at this girl go.
I know. It was funny.
So then you do recall we bowled up into Jurien Bay. Lovely little place. We were in a cafe and you made a friend.
She just talked about her experience, some sort of heartfelt experience, and I said, oh, do you have faith? And she said, oh my goodness, yes I do. And so she proceeded to tell us and all the surrounding people in the cafe about her faith, which is awesome. And so I said, can I get that on video? Oh, absolutely. So then So
there we were, there's people everywhere, the music's blaring in the cafe, we got no chance.
Yeah.
No, we have a chance. You're on deck. Straight to the front and say, excuse me, can you turn off the music?
I think remember saying, can you go and ask? And you wouldn't.
No. Shame. But you went straight up. Could you turn the music off? So basically took over the cafe.
Yeah.
And people were going past and we were ministering to this lady and we were praying and she was talking, coffees were happening.
Nice.
It was church in the cafe.
Yeah, it was lovely.
Honey, do you know that when we went into Kings Park, which is the nature reserve for Perth City, the longest of Perth City, apparently it's the largest nature reserve of any city in the world that a capital city has.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah. So Perth was homely after all that. As we caught up with some friends from the East Coast that are now relocated.
Yeah, it was good because she was tracking our trip and when we were up in Darwin, and she said, oh, can you come and visit us? So that was awesome. So it was like, yeah, heck yes.
Saved some bucks, stayed in the backyard in our tent. Yeah, it felt great, home cooked meals, and we were swapping ministry stories.
Yeah, it was awesome.
And theories, and I think we cured the world and cured all religious problems around that table that day. Yeah, so we caught up with some of our daughter's friends down in Fremantle, which is a suburb of Perth. Gorgeous little place.
Yeah, and they happened to be babysitting their 5 nieces and nephews or something, so that was good. Yeah, it was really nice. And gate crashed the OM reunion. Yes,
we did. There was an Operation Mobilisation mission boat reunion and we happened to gate crash.
Yeah.
And I do remember whilst we were in Perth, Margaret Court was running a Pentecostal conference, which we also gate crashed.
Yeah.
What was your fascination with Margaret?
Well, as we were travelling around Australia, it was the whole the yes and no vote for the same-sex marriage was coming. It was all big news in Australia, and everyone was talking about that.
So she was full of vision, full of boldness, and a very biblical lady. And she has a point of view on that, on the marriage, and she was strong enough to speak it, even if it was going to cause some issue.
Oh, look, and her name was going to get taken off the arena and all this hoo-ha, and I was like, wow, and she just like, she was...
Taking a bit of shame for the name?
Yeah.
All right, so we continued our journey on down to the bottom of Western Australia through the Margaret River.
Yeah, and through the
Got rained on, lots.
I remember that.
turned the corner and went to Denmark. What do you think of the change between the bottom of Western Australia, say Denmark, and the top of Western Australia, say Broome? Lush, green, peaceful, not arid,
Trees.
harsh, hard, hot.
Yeah. No, it's great.
Totally different climate top to bottom in Western Australia. Now, if I recall, we found a sign on the road as we went past Chocolate Shop, Denmark.
Yeah. Had
What
to
happened?
go.
What
Had to go
happened?
in there, didn't we? It was beautiful. Yeah, I had chocolate and hot chocolate and chocolate.
You ended up consuming a fair bit of chocolate and starting doing cartwheels in their garden and collapsing, if I remember.
Yeah. Shout out to Klim Motorcycle Gear. You are actually capable of doing cartwheels.
We now turn the corner. We're heading east. We're heading
Home.
Right, no more running away, Vetty. Heading home.
Have to go back.
Yeah, so it was an interesting phenomenon to really turn that corner. And also, how were you coping with the unpredictable rain?
Not. It was wet, wasn't it?
Well, Margaret River was just awful because it was just 3 hours of deluge, but we had a fair amount of sporadic rain going as soon as we turned down the bottom of Australia and started heading around the bottom.
Yeah, sporadic was okay, but that was a deluge before we got there.
Yeah, Margaret River was tough, but I think the sporadic rain was okay. All right, so where we're heading?
We're going to Albany next, honey.
Albany.
Albany.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we better see you in the next episode.
Yeah, see you in Albany.
See you then.